Do you have trees that are overhanging and need trimming, but don't want the frustration of using a petrol-powered chainsaw? Come along with me and I'll show you an alternative that's quick and easy to use. Let's go. Hey guys, Musa here from Quantum Home Improvements and Solutions. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about Oregon 18-inch self-sharpening electrical chainsaw and tell you some of the features and benefits and why I bought it. And Oregon's a fairly good company. They were established in 1947 in Portland, Oregon, USA. This particular model is CS1500 092 with a 2,400 watt motor. So this chainsaw has had a lot of use and the chain and the sharpener now need replacing. I'm going to show you how to do that. And also I will put a link below in descriptions where you can get the replacement from. So to be sure that I do this right, I went on the net and found this manual and I downloaded and printed it off. Now it's in many languages and there's like 540 pages, but the English section is only 36. So just be careful when you're printing that off. It's a very detailed manual and it'll tell you everything you need to know about this Oregon chainsaw. So now I'll get into it and show you how to do it. Okay, so just turn it sideways, take the blade cover off. Okay, so just turn this first, take that off completely. And once you do that, the cover will come off. So it's pretty dirty, so I'm going to do a bit of cleaning here as well as changing the blades. Now, there is a direction on this blade, so make sure that the direction is the right way. Just so I don't lose that direction, I'll just place this down exactly the same way I took it out. I'll take this off. Okay, so the sharpener is just here. So what I might do first is just clean this out. It's going to be a little bit of a mess. So it's just two flat screws. And just take that out. Quite easy to do. All right, so now I'll just open the packet. Here we go. So this is this sharpener. So basically this section here is turned that way and sits inside this section. Okay, so I'll put the two screws in first before tightening to make sure they go in. This is quite easy to do. So this is now totally scarred. You can see this a bit better than before. I'll just clean that out. So it did originally start with that same surface level and you can see how it's cut into this stone. Okay, and you can see the difference between the blades. Here, the blades, the top sections are very sharp. Here you can see them worn out completely. Just going to make sure they're the right size. Also, just to make sure it's going the same direction, and this needs to be turned around this direction. Okay, so just be careful with your fingers. This can cut. So you put it over the drive wheel. And I'm just going to tighten it up a little bit. Okay, so then you put the cover on. Now there is a little lip here. You've got to be careful. You've got to put that one in first, which just goes in the little corner here, like that. It sits inside, and so that's in. And now you just tighten this black section up. The red section is for the blade adjustment. So this one here, the black one is to lock it in place, but I don't want to lock it yet. So what the instructions show, when you pull the chain down 3 millimeters, it's supposed to spring back up, and that's what that's doing. And if it doesn't spring back up, it means it's not tight enough. So that is actually perfect the way it is now. So I'm going to go ahead and lock that off. And that's locked off. Now, because it is a new chain, you need to run it for a couple of minutes, then stop, let it cool down, and just check that tension again. Okay, so how easy was that? I'm going to put some chainsaw bar lubricant in, and I do use Valvoline. Now don't put it all the way to the top. It's looking new again. Woohoo! So you'll notice here where the trigger section is, that there's a little bit of a hooking device. So what you do is you turn your cable like this and hook it inside and pull that through. Okay, so that way when you are working with the chainsaw, it's not going to pull this lead apart. Okay, so I'll give it a shot. Look how much kick that's got. Okay, so chainsaws are really dangerous, so it's really important to follow the instructions. You keep your brake on when you're not using it. And so this handle is for your left hand and the trigger is for your right. And so I've got a good friend of mine come in who's an arborist who's going to show and demonstrate how to use a chainsaw and give us some regulations in our local area and what you can and can't cut. So the reason I chose this particular chainsaw is because we live on a large property and we have a lot of fallen branches. And so we do have a tractor to move those branches around, but sometimes we cut our timbers up into firewood. But I don't use chainsaws that often. I do have a Stihl chainsaw, but petrol chainsaws generally need a lot of love and attention, and they can be mishandled quite easily and damaged. So that's why I bought this particular one, because it is lighter for me, easier to carry around. It is a little bit annoying taking the power around with me, but I generally do a lot of the cutting around the house, so I don't need to go into bush or anything like that. But I did over sharpen it when I was using it initially, and so this section here is the sharpener. So what you do is you run your blade as it's on and you pull the sharpener at the same time. And so what that does is hit the stone and it sharpens it, but you only hold it for around 3 to 5 seconds. I was holding it for a lot longer than that, not knowing how to use it properly. So what you've got to do if you want to sharpen, you take your brakes off, hold it down firm, and this lever you just pull back. You will see sparks coming out because it's hitting the stone and it's sharpening. So you don't do it too often and not for too long. So you start the motor and you pull the lever back for around 3 to 5 seconds. And that was it there. Now I only held it for a second because the blade doesn't need sharpening because it's brand new. But that's how you do it. Quite easy, quite quick. So Charles will be here shortly, so I'll get myself set up, ready for him, and ready for him to instruct us how to use this properly. Perfect timing. Charles just arrived, and now we can get into it. Hey Charles, thanks for coming.
Oh, sir. Great
I appreciate it. Hey,
welcome.
So this is the tree. Yeah, I want to basically remove 3 limbs. Now, I was going to do this myself, but I was very skeptical because of my back and how I was going to be able to cut it safely. Sure. So that's why I've rung you. As being an arborist, I'd had more faith in someone teaching me, and I'd like you to show the safest way to use a electrical chainsaw, and this has got a big kick to it. Sure. And also if you can give us some of the ins and outs of what we're actually legally allowed to cut on a tree, and if you don't know for sure, if you can just give us a direction where we can find this information.
Sure. Well, the first thing is certainly if you want to do any tree work, is it's a really good thing to check out your local council's website, look on the trees or pruning trees, because you may have to apply to actually prune or remove a tree. Now there are a lot of exemptions, so most councils provide like a 10% exemption, so you can remove 10% of live wood, but the main thing is that you use a qualified arborist.
Yes.
So that's what they call a level 3 arborist who's done his or her training.
And that's your level, isn't it, Charles?
And that's it. And so the point there is they know what to do, what to cut, what not to cut, how to cut, and also...
And safely as well.
And safely. In fact, my whole time training, literally I would say 70 to 80% of what we did had a safety component.
Yes.
So the idea, if I'm going to go and climb that tree in whatever way, I'm not going to climb it freehand.
Yes.
Preferably, I'm not going to use a ladder, but in this case, to make it easy, we're going to use a ladder.
Yep. And I'll be holding this for safety.
You'll be there holding the ladder, but at the same time I won't need the ladder ultimately because I'm going to put a safety harness on.
Excellent.
Now this safety harness is obviously going to have anchor points, and so I'm going to anchor myself to that tree.
Great.
And there's no way that trunk of the tree is going to move in any way once I've connected.
Great. All right, so let's start. If we can grab the extension ladder, you tell me where you want to put it, and then we'll put it in place, and we'll go from there.
I'll get my harness on, and
great.
We're in business.
Okay, so we're now set up. The ladder is in place. Charles has tested it, and it's looking good, and he's got his harness on. But Charles, can I ask you, is cutting the limb with a chainsaw better, or just using a handsaw?
This is what I'm always concerned about, Musa. Someone has a ladder, someone has a saw, just like this, or a chainsaw.
Yep.
And might go, oh, it's only a small branch, that's easy, I'll go and do it and
Yep.
go off and have a cup of tea. But unfortunately, this is where accidents occur. It's one of those things that a lot of people don't want to call someone experienced, and also someone with safety gear. This is a harness that basically arborists use to climb trees, and obviously been trained to use it. So it's got ropes, carabiners. Okay, it's made for climbing basically, and this is what we're going to do today. We're going to put the handsaw aside, we're going to use the chainsaw, and we're going to use it safely. So Musa, I'll just put my pole strap on.
Beautiful. You're looking very comfortable there, Charles.
Oh yes, yes, I could nearly stop and have a cup of tea once I'm sitting in here. You often realize how a koala feels when he's up in the tree. For safety's sake, we need a second
Yep.
of contact, which is going to be up on this branch over here. And that is where my ropes come in. There you go, and I'm going to tighten this rope. Now, I don't need to be double strapped on the main branch because I need some movement. It gives me a lot of flexibility.
Okay. Would you like me to move the ladder now?
You can remove the ladder now. I'm very comfortable with this. This is the area I'm looking at cutting. It's way away from the branch union, as we call it, okay, which we will do a final cut there. But we're going to try and get rid of the weight of a tree, the weight of the branch. But we don't want it to shred. So to stop it from shredding and then possibly damaging the trunk, we are actually going to do an undercut. We'll then do a top cut, okay? So depending on the weight of this branch, okay, this will actually either cut suddenly if the undercut is too deep,
Yep.
or slowly if the undercut is just, you know, a 30 mil or something. Now, one of the things we don't recommend as arborists, we generally do not recommend electric chainsaws in trees. I would always have a petrol-driven chainsaw, and the reason for that is we don't need an extra wire.
Well, I'm glad you're here, Charles, because I would have thought it's okay.
No, that's exactly right, Musa, and that's why I came, because basically it's the sort of thing we want to prevent accident. We don't want people to hurt themselves, and certainly there's nothing wrong with using an electric chainsaw in a tree if you've got all the safety gear.
Yeah.
We want to cut this down further
Yes.
until we do our final cut.
Beautiful.
I also need to be in a better position
Yep.
once I get closer to where my foot is, okay? And I'll also show you how to make that final cut. And the most important thing when you're actually cutting branches of all trees, okay, you want, on most situations, you want to make sure you get a circle,
Yes.
okay, on your cut, on your wound. Okay, now I'm happy here because I'm away from the tree. I need that distance. And the one thing I don't want to happen, I don't want to slip and end up.
Yeah. That was a good demonstration there, Charles.
With gums, you're always going to leave a little bit of a stump.
Yes.
Not as big as this, unless it's a big tree, and there's a reason for that. But it's closer to it, but you can see there's a little bit of a bulge.
Yes.
Yeah. Gums have this. This is actually full of energy in the sense that this is what gives the rest of the branch its strength.
Okay.
Okay. So if I cut right into this, I'm cutting all that off
Yep.
and opening up a big wound. I want this wound to be about here, okay, and a circle, all right, and clean. That's the other thing. And we can let it dry and the tree will heal itself.
Okay.
So here we go. You may have noticed, I'm not sure, but literally as I was cutting, I was not pushing the chainsaw at all. I was actually directing it. I was holding it in place. The saw and the blades actually pull. Each one pulls at the next bit of timber as it goes around.
Beautiful.
Just come and push against the tree, push against it, push against it. Okay, there we go. Oh, Musa, have a look at this. It's a good idea we got rid of this branch. We've got a lot of decay, you know, just coming out, a lot of resin coming out of this wound, and this branch would have had to come off anyway.
Hey Charles, that looks incredible. You're fantastic up there.
Oh, thank you.
Wow, I am surprised. I didn't realise it's so much work in cutting a branch. I've got to be honest, I bought that saw for ground cutting.
Yes.
I was thinking of going up there, but now that I've seen what you've done, I would definitely never go up a tree, and that would be very dangerous. So thank you very much. What did you think of the self-sharpening Oregon saw?
I liked it. Yes, I liked it. It's something I wouldn't use in the tree.
Yeah.
Because obviously I've been trained to use.
It's good to use that on the ground only.
Right.
Yep.
But at the same time, it was you could feel that at least it's smooth.
Yep.
It's an easy saw to handle.
Yep. It's got a nice kick to it too, hasn't it?
It does. It does. Yes. Yes. I think when your feet are firmly on the ground,
Yeah.
it's a much more comfortable position to be than
Yeah.
up in a tree.
Yeah.
At different angles.
Yep.
It's the sort of thing that, thank goodness, you didn't go up.
Look, Charles, thank you very much. I might get you back in the future to
do.
do another video on asset protection, 10-50 rule, and possibly about more trees. I am going to fix up my steel petrol chainsaw,
Oh, yes.
and I'd like you to show me how to use that as well.
Absolutely. Yes, that's my forte in using petrol motors.
Beautiful.
And I look forward to coming back.
Thank you. Thanks, Charles. Okay, so that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. And I'd ask you to please keep safe and leave a comment below if you have any questions, and I will get back to you. And I'd ask you to please consider to subscribe, hit the like button and share this video. And there's many more videos to come. Thanks, guys.